Hey guys, I'm really not going to be on here too long, but I just wanted to take the time to review some sparring gloves that I got, and let me just explain a little bit about why I got some new ones and why I'm experimenting with these and trying some different ones. So, as you guys know, I've been a martial arts instructor in martial arts for many years, for most of my life actually, and so I used to use a very specific brand, and I used to go through this specific brand all the time, and it was so good. You know, the style was so good, it just worked well for everything that I did and everything I taught. And all of my students were always asking me, because I would let them use whatever they want as long as they're not using weighted gloves, for what we're doing and everything like that. So they would ask me and I would guide them towards a specific brand, but there was a redesign somewhat recently. As I went back to purchase them again, I noticed they were redesigned and they're just not up to the, I don't know if you'd say quality, but I could just tell if I get these things, they're going to start falling apart. And this is a tough thing for martial artists, is to find the glove that, the gloves that fit them, that they can use. And a lot of people struggle with this because there's a lot of gloves out there that are goofy. There's a lot of goofy sparring gear out there that hinders what you're trying to do. It really affects your training. And if you're sparring and you are doing grappling, you're trying to do claws, you want to do full contact continuous sparring where you want to be able to use grappling and actually use all of your hand, position your hand a certain way where you're not just using fist, you need the proper gloves. And these gloves need to be resilient, and they need to not leave like black stuff all over your hands, yada yada, you get the picture. So I've seen gloves that, it's like the ones where you grab, you reach through the little loops and you grab those. Like those rip the first time I use them because they're not very good. It's just a terrible design. And so there's just a lot of designs out there that immediately right off the bat, they're actually completely useless. We're not going to talk about that. I'm just going to talk about the gloves the designs that I think are good, and the pair of gloves that I have here today to review for you here today. So these are a pair of RDX. I have never used these before. I've never opened these, as you can see, so I'm going to open these right in front of you. And first, what I'd like to see is that I have use of fingers. That's so important for everything that I do, everything that I taught in martial arts in general. You have to be able to position your hand. If you want to do a chop, or you want to do something different, you want to do a claw or something like that, and you want to train this in sparring, you need to be able to use your fingers. You got to position your hand in something other than a fist. You got to be able to open and close your hand at will. Otherwise, the glove is useless. So let's get this open and really just take a look here. Take some of the stuff off here. Oh wow, we got a whole tag here. That's cool. Let's pull that off. Okay. So I usually, I don't know about you guys, but these things come off right away for me. I cannot still, that digs it like that. That'll just bother me the whole time I'm sparring. So that comes off. Yeah, it's like a tag, You ever just rip the tags off because they're too big or something like that? That's just going to come off right away. So right away I see the stitching is pretty good. As I tear that's even difficult to tear off. So the stitching is pretty good. What I like right away before putting it on is the flexibility that I see here. This is so common for MMA gloves that's the style. When they're either curled already, which you don't want, or it's restrictive where you can't, there's no flexibility. So let's go ahead and stick these on. Oh, I love the Velcro. Oh yeah, nice. Now these are extra large. I typically do need like the largest size of most things, and they're still a little tight for me. They are. But, however, they need to be a little snug. They do. Don't want loose gear. So, could be a good thing. Could be just the right sizing. That extra large for me. So yeah, there we go. I do have full range of that closing that fist, if you see. Now, really the main thing is, can I close my fist and is my thumb positioned properly? And yes, it is. So that's, you prefer flexibility, same. And so, like, if I can close my fist in a manner that feels like I'm not straining it, I won't hurt my hand. Because all of you out there that you know how to throw a punch, you know fully that you're not clenching as hard as you can, otherwise you actually hurt your hand. It's not how you throw a punch. It's just not how you do it. So if you have to really clench to close your fist and then you throw a punch, yeah, you're going to pull every single little, like you're going to start pulling muscles in your fingers and you're just going to hurt your hand. So basically, you need to, this is a little bit tight. It is. So what I'm going to do is that, what I will say though is I like this. I like how open that hand is. So like I can do a palm strike, even though this is like this. I can do a palm strike and I can do my claws. That's okay. This is fine. However, what I will say is that it's still right off the bat a little lumpy here. A little less padding here would be nice. So what I do is I sort of kind of go like this. If it's like that. I've had to do this with a couple of pairs, different ones that I had. And it works pretty nicely. Because you're getting that foam to bend a little bit. So it's not as constrictive. Just bend it the other way, sort of a little bit. You should be able to handle that. Otherwise, it's not quality gear anyway. You're not gonna be able to put stuff with that anyway. Now, the other main thing too is, does the thumb have padding? Actually, that is something that the pictures made it look like it does. Now, one thing I will say is there's no extra actual pad here. And for those of you who know how to use that one, let me see something. Yeah. So you wouldn't, that's actually one strike you'd be minus. You wouldn't really want to use that. You'd have to alternate to the side of your hand. So that's something where, like, somebody who designed the glove didn't know about that move, basically, and how to use it. So, like, it is a top level move. A lot of people don't know it, but yeah, most people aren't going to use it anyway. So that is an issue where the thumb and some gloves does have an extra pad right here specifically for that purpose. It's sort of oval shaped. I'll bet some people go, "What's that for? What's that?" It really, trust me, those of us who know, trust me. There's one. Yeah, I don't care. I'm not gonna show you. I'm not gonna say do this, but I'm just gonna say, like, if you know how. This is me just demonstrating it, okay? It's just one of these where you're still coming up over like that, but you know, if you have the proper conditioning and you know how to do that, you're reinforcing that, and there is a hit there. So like it, trust me, there is one, and it's weird, and it does serve a purpose sometimes once you know it, but it's the sort of thing where until you know how to properly use it, until it sinks in, it doesn't sink in on how to when to use it. You know, you just, you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense right away. It's just like a ridge hand. People see that. It's the same angle. the ridge hand. It's the same angle, but they don't understand how that could ever actually relate to, well, I'm sorry. Supposed to fall into it. I have to get you to fall into that. This is one where like it's never gonna make sense until you have like a technique where you understand how to get that person to hit this. Because it is very telegraphed, I'll give you that. But yeah, like you gotta fall into that. Anyway, let's talk about the glove. Sorry. Let me get the other one on. Let me get them both on. So yeah, like just knowing that, again, like if like telegraph things and stuff like that, just knowing that, again, like you're going to use your strategy or build up to that. You know, like whatever your lead in is, whatever, you know, you're using that for. Obviously your setup is then for that, so they won't see it. That's the point. It works because you made it work. So I do like these. Let me just say that. I think they're good. I like, again, the stitching's excellent. The material is just right. It's not the kind that falls apart. It's going to hold together. These will probably last. These will probably be going for a while. These will probably last me for a while. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the sort of thing where, you know, like, can you hit and curl comfortably? And that's what you want to know. Can you hit and curl comfortably? Yes. That's all you need to know. Can you hit and curl comfortably? You know? So that's the main thing, and then yeah. 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 Yeah, it's the sort of thing where they look good, they feel good. You know, you could just tell right away they were going to be good gloves. So, there's a lot of gloves out there that are super goofy. You know, again, I would have done the punches I was doing there. That's a really heavy bag, by the way. If I was doing the punches I was doing there with like some of these gloves would have just ripped right off my hand. Just right off my hand. And I've seen it before. It's happened. And it's like the ones that you reach through where there's like loops that you reach through. There's like two little loops hanging down. You know, like there's like a big bubble. And it's like just like foam dipped in like one other material. You know, there's no stitching. It's really cheaply made. So these are not weighted. These aren't like a certain amount of ounces or anything like that. These are just like MMA / grappling gloves. And that's what I used all through my days of teaching and sparring. And guys, you know, the stuff we did were, you know, I'm talking like sometimes I'd be sparring full contact for 3 hours, you know, grappling, full contact. I mean, like, obviously, like, we switch partners and stuff like that. You know, you switch sparring partners and stuff like that. You take breaks here and there. But, yeah, like, sometimes 3 hours straight, you know? Like, you know, it's the sort of thing where it's just sometimes, some nights, you just got to go hard, you know? And you got to get the training in. And so you really need, if you're doing full contact, continuous, grappling, you know, claws, everything under the sun. You're doing all kinds of training. You want full range of hands. You don't want to be limited. You don't want weight either. You want to be able to hit somebody and not have extra weight behind it because you're already a pretty well-trained martial art. You should be able to hit somebody without weighted gloves and have it matter. So you need to know, does that work? Will it matter? And trust me, if you're starting to notice that it matters even when they're wearing headgear and they're wearing sparring gear, you know you're good. You know you're good. And so, like, that's when you learn control. You know, like, obviously control sets in, but, like, I just feel like nobody who does, like, this point sparring thing ends up learning control, because where's the control and stop, start, and plus, what are you learning about a real fight? So, anyway, there's a lot of times where, you know, these types of gloves really, really came in handy, because, you know, you could just, you know, slip into a throw or something like that and get on immediately on the ground, and you still got these on, they're not really in the way. And you know, like, it's the sort of thing where like, you know, it doesn't matter whether you're sparring, or, like, you know, we could back up and you know, we might run into a wall or something like that. So we back up and we responsibly move to the side and continue where we left off, you know, so that way we can learn properly and stuff like that. How do we get out of that situation, you know, without damaging the wall, you know? But the point is, you also protect yourself, and you wear proper gear, and you wear stuff like that. And this is why sometimes even I wouldn't wear, like, a chest guard, you know, something like that, where it's like, you know, I just learned to protect my torso that well. You know, I mean, if I get hit in the torso or something like that, it's just my own dumb fault, you know? So you just beef up a little bit. That's what a lot of people, I think, do. The chest guard, that's something where you're probably going to get injured at some point if you don't wear one. I mean, I'm just saying, I'm just letting you know, it's probably going to happen. But you know, the point is, protect yourself, and you learn quick to do that. But you know, it's the sort of thing where mistakes happen, and so you want to protect vitals and stuff like that. But you know, like, with chest guard, you go on the ground, it does constrict you a little bit. And that's one thing I will say is, like, with grappling, sometimes, you know, you want to do that without the yeah, because it's just ridiculous sometimes. You can't move in that thing. And like, some of them have stupid giant circles on them. Like, I never, yeah, that wasn't, that, I don't like the ones with the giant circle. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, that's for people that need a targeting area, you know, like they need to, you know, or something like that. Like, I never, you know, just buy your own sparring gear, you know what I mean? Like, that's the sort of thing where, like, a lot of times that's just like the cheap one, so that just lingers around, you know. But anyway, with these gloves, they're really good. Like I said, the only big downfall is that this part here is a little bubbly, and honestly, the reason I even bought these is because they're so similar to the ones that I had used previously for, like, the whole time that I was doing my training and teaching. Like I said, my students would always ask me for recommendation for gloves because they liked mine. They always liked mine, and I liked mine, and they lasted. And that was the whole point, is these look very similar to those in design, very, very similar, except there was a little less padding here, thus making it easier to just pull your hands shut. So I will still say that there's still just a little bit too much. I think it's actually just the fact that it's shaped the way it is, and it goes over the edge. So it just ends up being almost wrenching the whole foam piece to be a certain way. And like I said, I think maybe eventually it'll be worn in. But yeah, initially, if somebody was getting these, it would be the sort of thing where they would really want to break them in quite a lot before using them properly, or I think it's going to end up, you know what I'm saying, where like you can't close your, you know what I'm saying? You should be able to, So, also, I'll say something else too. There's a lot of gloves out there that you can buy now that are just for bag. If you ever see gloves that have a thing here that like goes like across this way, you know what I'm talking about? Don't buy those for sparring. It's not what they're for. Well, if you're gonna injure yourself. Don't do that. The thing in the middle, that's so that you can grab that and it puts support on your hand. That's for a boxer that's pounding on that thing. So it's to support his knuckles, his joints, so that way he can really pound on that thing. He doesn't really damage his hand so much. It's not for sparring. So again, like there's a lot of just like things, or if you look these things up, you won't necessarily know them. You'll just be like, what's the you're like looking at all these different gloves. So that was partially why I wanted to do this too, is to show you that these are labeled as grappling gloves. They're not even labeled as sparring gloves. I consider these fingerless sparring gloves, is what I'd call these. But again, they're labeled as grappling gloves, and that's the point. Is I even made that point myself. Is that's why you use these, is that your style includes grappling, so that way, like, and you guys know, like when I do my blocks and stuff, my hand is usually up like this. Like that's the whole point. Like if somebody's hand or foot hits your arm, you need to be able to close that and you know, shift instantly, because that's the point. That's what you're doing. You know, if you can't utilize these tools, what the hell are you doing, man? You're limiting your entire repertoire to this. So, I mean, yeah, it can be done, but why would you do that? Get what I'm saying? I got a drink over here. So, good stuff. I don't see anything glaringly wrong with the design. Like I said, these are really nice and tight around my wrists. I have pretty small wrists. They're really nice and tight around my wrists. You guys know, I look like a small guy on stream. I've always been sort of built this way. A couple of years ago when I first started streaming, you guys saw me, I had beefed up. I just did that on purpose. When I was in training and I was teaching all the time, I actually looked like this. And my students would say the same thing. Like, it was very common for people to underestimate me. And that's part of what I do. So, if you know how to use Dragon, you don't need muscle. You don't need, well, you need muscle, but you don't need mass. Now, one thing, I look like a small guy. I'm actually not. I'm over 6'2". I stand over 6'2". I get pretty low. I have my reach is insane. It's the sort of thing where that's what people underestimate. My reach is insane. And so, like, you can really use that to your advantage, especially when you know Snake. A lot of times it's about putting your hand up like this and making people think they know what your range is when that ain't your range. So, yeah, like you get underestimated a lot, and I get it. But yeah, I mean, it's the sort of thing where you can't let that bother you. You can't let that get to you. Like, again, if you're one of those guys that for some reason you can eat everything in sight, you don't really gain any weight, you work out, you lift weights, you just gain lean muscle mass, probably just means you're healthy. So don't let all the people get, you know, like that's literally all it means, and so, you know, there's just these misconceptions behind that sort of thing. For example, a tall, lanky guy is not going to look the same doing his kicks as everybody else. However, a tall, lanky guy will do his kicks faster than everybody else. Can you follow that logic? So maybe my footwork won't look the same. I have to modify things in order to get the speed. But because I did that modification and understood that I have reach and understood how to use it, suddenly I adjust for my body type and understand, I can actually get more speed out of this and make it more effective just because of my body type. It's the same thing a boxer does with his giant arms. You know, he doesn't slow himself down with that. He tries to use that tool. And so, like, he's only got one tool, so he better use it right. Yeah. Mike Tyson understood that in his prime. But this is the point, like, it is really hard to do that with fists. It's one tool. So that's what I'm saying is, like, the more stuff that you are good at, that you can, you know, yeah, like, the better, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't master it too. That doesn't mean, like, go do MMA and learn a little bit of this and a little bit of that. No, you have to master something first. Like, I know I make fun of that term, you know, there's really no mastering anything, because there's not. But you know, to a point at which you'd call yourself an expert with that thing, that's all. That's what I mean by that, you know. Obviously there's a standard that we understand as you know, seeing an expert at something and understanding the execution of it. So, all right, so for example, a spinning hammer fist. Let's talk about that concept really quick before we go. Let's talk about the mechanics a little bit, just really quick. Okay. Spinning hammer fist, I've seen people use this, and I've seen people make mistakes with this. I have taught this for so many years, and I've seen everything. The most common mistake, and just like with everything, the most common mistake I see is footwork. They don't know how to position their feet. Yeah, they think everything's about the hands. Is like, you're spinning, man. Feet, the footwork is everything. Can you see my feet? Good enough. So part of what I see a lot of times is people trying to spin right here. Ooh. Ah, shit. Did you? I'm sorry. I'll put it this way. Okay. So this is the concept is, if I'm lanky and I have long arms, I can trick you. You'll think you're going to get me, okay? Oh, I'm sorry, I need to do it the other way. My bad. You'll think that you're going to get me, okay? And then I'll fake your reach. You'll actually throw. So if I'm standing here, you see this is wide open. It's totally what I'm doing, obviously. So, like literally, all I got to do is just tap, 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 tap. It's coming. I mean, come on. If I stand here and tap you like this, you're gonna fucking clobber me, right? Yeah. So, tap, 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 and then as soon as that comes around, the whole point is you see my foot already setting up? I'm sure you saw it already. I was already kind of doing this. So the second that I see that hand shift, my foot is here. All I have to do is shift my feet. It's footwork. Your feet will move you out of the way. And then you execute with precision. Tap, 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 boom. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying not to hit this. I realize you guys can't see me too well. Try not to hit my elbow into that. But yeah, you get the idea. Is that like you want to slide to the side and already be set up. Okay. Let me just shift you guys so you guys can see. Like I'm tired of doing this. You can't see it properly. Okay. You get what I'm saying? So it's tap, tap, and then the idea is that like you're already here. If you have a lanky body, it's actually to your advantage because that twist is your power. So now all this lankiness can suddenly be put into my spin. Bam! You get what I'm saying? So all you have to do is understand certain concepts. And you take those concepts from martial arts and give them to yourself for what makes sense. Okay, if you're a short little guy, you're down here. You're down here the whole fuck. You are just down here, man. If you're a short little guy, you're down here. Yeah, and I want to see you moving around all over the place. I want you to be squirrely. I better not be able to even like get a shot on you. And then as soon as I start tracking your footwork, you do a spin hook kick to the side of my fucking head. Boom! That's what I want to see you do. This is the point. It doesn't matter. Body type doesn't matter. You use that knowledge to your advantage. So yeah, anyway, great, good gloves. Great gloves, actually great. I shouldn't even say good. I think they're great. Dare I say they're great? No, I do. I think they're great. I would recommend to my students that if you're looking for some gloves that we used to use, I'm trying not to say the name. I feel bad because I love that brand. I do. I still love them. It's just that particular line of gloves. I do. I love them. I'm not going to say who it is, but if you want some like the gloves that I was using all those years, seriously, RDX, and then these are the F12B, the GGR. Okay, highly recommend. Highly recommend. What else can I say? Like I said, the Velcro is nice. I'm really impressed with how strong that is. And that's, anybody that knows about full contact sparring, that's so important. There's so many times this is going to come off anyway. It's going to come off anyway. And it needs to stay on. There's a second one. There's a second one. See it? That's so freaking cool. There wasn't a second one on our other gloves that I used. That's a good design. That is a really, they know. So that does tell me they know a bit about grappling. Like, they clearly know about a grapple. They know this shit's coming off. So you better have that second Velcro on there. So I'm not saying they don't know their stuff. It's just like not everybody's going to know every little thing. You know, I'm just saying. I mean, I'm almost 40 years old, man. I look a lot older. I look a lot younger than I actually am. So I have a lot of experience, a lot of years under my belt. You know, it's not like I'm saying everybody's going to know everything I know. I'm just saying, you know, that's only something that you could possibly add. Is just a little bit more padding here for those of us who sometimes do a little bit resort to that. Oh, and also a ridge hand, if you're familiar, can be done like this too, where you shift it right like that. You know, boom, and then the other one, boom, usually follows up, boom, boom. That's actually a lot of Kung Fu styles do stuff like that, where you'll see this, boom, boom, boom. If you want to see my body's doing, I'm just kind of coming out to the side here. A way you can do this without getting your head so close is you can pull back. So when you hit them with the first one, like I'm sure Joe Rogan would love to know why my head's so close. Yeah, you're not going to do that there. You're going to do that for purposes of the technique. Change it for sparring. So if I do this, he's going to grab that. Right? So the second he grabs that and he pulls me forward, I'm going to start getting yanked. I'm going to have this conditioning that this one's here. So what I'm going to do is as he pulls forward, see how I'm getting pulled right here? I'm going to turn this hand. I'm going to turn it. And I probably won't be able to pull out, but now that I've turned it, it shifts things. What I'm going to do is resort to that spin that I just did earlier. So that's the way real martial arts works. If you know how to do it, you react and take your techniques and your forms, as somebody mentioned, and combine what you know from all that stuff. Your forms should properly teach you how to combine your system, what you've learned in your system, whatever martial arts you know, and use it in a real scenario. It should help you know how to do that. If not, go somewhere else. I'm not trying to tell you to go to a different school or anything like that. I'm just saying to spot, if you would be, not necessarily getting the best instruction or something like that. You need to be able to feel like the forms that you're being given have a practical use, and that instructor understands what that is and is willing to show you. And these forms will show you how all of your techniques relate to a multiple attacker situation. That's what a form is for. It is to teach martial artists how to take all of their techniques and then start doing them in a row to multiple attackers. This is why I'm not going to give you my forms and stuff like that. You have to understand that would be like a martial artist giving his system away for free and stuff like that. I'm never going to do that. It would be like a magician telling you his trick. So, basically this is kind of like, what bridges the gap between, a lot of sport martial art and real martial art. Is sport martial art, you don't really have forms typically and stuff like that. So what you learn is very condensed and doesn't actually then translate to continuous. You get what I'm saying? That's why. And that's why everybody gets locked up on the floor and they just look like people hugging each other. It's actually why. Because there's a lot of what they do is drills where they have a guy with little punch pads like this. No, I know, because I can teach boxing too. It's pretty easy stuff. So basically a lot of drills where, again, you have target pads, you hold them in both hands, and they're doing punch, and then you punch at them and they have to do ducks. And then they got to punch again, and then you just keep going. It's stuff like that. It's like a ton of stuff like that. It's just drills. And kickboxing, same thing. It's just with legs. And, core, hip, and leg instead of, pec, chest, shoulder, back for boxing. So it's just translating that to legs versus upper body. And then martial arts is both. If you know Kung Fu, it's both of those. It's that plus everything plus animals and weapons, and it's literally all of it. So that's why these guys usually look pretty jacked. When I was doing forms just all the freaking time when I had a school, it was noticeably, for sure, but I was still thin. Nobody thought that I looked jacked. I'm always looked like a super lanky guy. So don't judge people by a lankiness. Sometimes it can be deceiving. It really can be. I'll tell you just one little instance where I had somebody underestimate what martial arts can do. He's an MMA fighter, and he wanted to learn. He was training to learn UFC, and I was with him with it, and he rushed in at me, and literally just like the whole spear thing, where he's really quick. I'll admit that he was really quick, but he got kneed pretty quickly too, in the middle of his head, and fell over. And so, like, that's the point. Like, while he thought he was going to rush head first to get that technique in because he's really fast and really good at it, maybe it's worked on some people. He uses that against me. I'm just going to calculate it. And so, like, that's the point. That's the difference. So, I mean, a lot of anime actually touches on this. I love anime. A lot of anime actually touches on concepts like that, where, like, that's the whole point, is like, if you discipline yourself and you learn proper technique and things like that, it just happens. You just you don't really need to try. It just, like, sort of takes over, and then that's the whole point. So that's what your forms are for. And so, like, that's the point. Like, you should have an instructor that knows how to properly do that, and knows how to properly make sure. Like, I know it can be boring. I know it can be boring to just constantly read, but that's your martial art, man. You should be absolutely thrilled if you actually have good forms to do, because a lot of people don't. They got some real boring shit. They got I and T stuff, and they don't even know what it's for. Trust me, I learned that stuff too, and world's different once you graduate to some other things, and you move on from that and start realizing how to use the two, how to translate what you did learn with what the new stuff is, and you'll realize what I'm saying. But anyway, good gloves, great gloves, love them. RDX. Trying to think if there's really anything I need to talk about with these. Like I said, I got great finger motions here. Great finger motion. I can really move all my fingers. You know, Thor did a snake technique. I forgot to talk about this. The last time we were on stream about martial arts, I wanted to tell you guys this. So basically, this is why I wanted to put a lot of this stuff out there and clear some of it up, because I have seen people like try to like slip some of their martial arts training into little things here and there, and I like that. I think it's good, and that's fine. The problem is, though, that other people will try it and not necessarily understand how to use it and how it works, so it gets lost in translation. And so that's what I had started seeing, where I just wanted to kind of bridge that gap a little bit, so that people aren't necessarily just trying this stuff and doing it wrong. Because I'd rather respect the martial art and be like, it does work, then people say that it would never work. Because trust me, it does. That's why it's so frustrating to see that, and that's why I wanted to bridge that gap for some of those things. So Thor did a snake technique. Yeah. So Chris Hemsworth is a martial artist. You know that? And I forget what scene it was, but I remember thinking oh my god, it's a snake technique. He does remember the handshake? What scene does he do the handshake in? Literally this, where he goes around the dude's arm. That's a snake technique. The thing where he goes around his arm, he's moving his arm around, that's literally a snake technique. This is so cool. Yeah. It teaches you arm manipulation. Yep. He literally did that. He literally did that. It was literally just like in a Thor movie. I forget, was it the most recent? Was it Thor Love at the, I don't remember now. I just remember Chris Hemsworth doing it as Thor, and I remember like the whole handshake where he like, and he uses a snake claw. I'm just like, all right, man. All right. I see what you did there. It was great. It was so great. So yeah, like that's just literally a snake technique. Yeah. If he wants some lessons, I can show him how to use it properly. I can literally tell him the name of the technique. I can literally show him a form that has that in it. It's literally classic Snake, and he just does it. I thought it was cool. No, really, Snake does look like that. Snake looks like an explosion of normal strikes, too. It will. But no, Snake will look like this at times. It will literally look like that at times. You see what my other hand's doing, right? You probably see that because you're not sparring me. That's right. It's fun stuff, man. That's the fun stuff. I love the concepts. That's the fun stuff. And I just thought that was cool that he just didn't he even say like the snake or something like that. I just thought that was funny. I was laughing. It's literally snake technique. So anyway, not gonna give too much away about that. I already gave you guys a. Do you guys know the escape I gave you? I gave you a snake type. Somebody requested to see my version of Snake. They requested this, my take on Snake. Now, I tried so hard not to just give you Snake, because Snake is, that's some pretty wicked stuff. I don't want to just give that away for free. I gave you a Snake technique, though. And it's that escape that I did. And that one, that short. That's a freaking Snake technique, man. So, freebie. You're welcome. And the whole reason I gave that to you was the purpose of self-defense for people that would have the strength to use that, but might be against a bigger guy, and might not really know how to get a big guy off his shirt or his neck or something like that, but is also a big guy. That's going to work great for you. It is. If you know how to pop that shoulder, boom, and undo that escape, tie up the hands. Trust me. And again, I'm not giving you like a whole, I'm never going to give you the forms. I'm never going to come on here and give you the freaking forms. I'm just never going to do that. I'm never going to come on here and give you weapons forms and animal forms and long fist. And I'm never going to come on here and do that. I'm not going to do that. Do you want to learn it from me? Okay, maybe we can work something out. But I'm not going to come on here and just give it to people for free. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, once in a while, if I see some stuff where that's already out there, and I want to clear that up, I want to respect the martial art, I'm going to do that. And some of the stuff where people were questioning the 1-inch punch from Bruce Lee and the guys that could literally throw somebody down, sort of just like kind of like tapping them. No, that's legit. It is. But again, my message, remember, was that the videos Joe Rogan was looking at the couple of times he did were not. Like the stuff that he was looking at and some other people were looking at, not that it's his fault. I'm just saying that was not legit. There are people that can do that. I've seen it. It's been done to me. Okay, so eyewitness testimony here. Okay, and then I'm not talking about just one person either. I've seen a couple that can do things like that. So again, we're not talking about something that's like a big mystery here. Okay, there are those of us who went through training and had like masters and stuff where like they're getting ready to demonstrate a technique on us, and we just know that they've accidentally, you know, like the sort of thing where like they're so above everybody's level where like you see the person wince a little bit, like they're demonstrating, like it's that sort of thing where like, you know, like it really is to that degree. And so we're not talking about just conspiracies here. We're talking about stuff we've seen. Plenty of us have seen, and you know, stuff. You know, just stories from when I, you know, was originally training way back. You know, way back. So it goes way back, man. It's a long time ago. Anyway. I hope this was a good video for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. The whole point was to review these gloves, but as you guys know, once I get on martial arts, I really have trouble not giving you a class, basically. It's just how I am. But understand again, I want to really reiterate that I'm never going to just give you the martial art. It's not going to happen. I'm not gonna just throw my forms on here and put that out there for everybody. I am trying to work on something for you guys. So if you give me some time, I am trying to work on something for you guys where I can give you a form I've put together. If you guys would appreciate this, I will do this for you, and I will put together a form for you for the channel, so for you to be able to do a form if you'd like. And it will be something I made. But remember, forms are all made up. This is what people can't process. You know, it feels like a little bit of a letdown, but just remember, somebody made up those forms. It was a person. Maybe even just a few hundred years ago. You know, like this is what you need to rationalize. Like, the stuff that you learn has been perfected. You know, like it's not like it's yeah, some of it dates back thousands of years and stuff like that, and original days, but we're talking about people that were smart and perfected it, and it worked. You know, like where Krav Maga came from and stuff like that, where we see the examples of just very executable techniques. Where did that come from? Well, yeah, that's the point. So that's what I'm telling you. Is no, it's them. It's them. They figured all that they perfected it. It's just, you know, it leaked out and stuff like that, and plenty of people know it now. And the legit styles are out there, and as much as they don't want it, some people don't want them to be. You know, it's out. It's a done deal. You know. So anyway, regardless of that, you know, just remember that there's always. Just remember that when you're watching sport and you're watching like fights on TV and stuff like that, take stuff like that with a grain of salt. If you want to learn martial arts, learn martial arts. But if you want to do sport, do sport. Does that make sense? I just think that a lot of times there's a big separation where if you're really serious into the martial arts, you're going to kind of realize that you're going to get let down. Because you're going to learn martial arts and you're going to get really freaking good. Really, really good. And then you're going to be like, all right, well, maybe I'll compete now or something like that. And then you're going to be told that you can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this. And then you can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this. And you can't do this. And you can't. And you're like, so 60 to 70% of the things that I would do to win in a scenario are now ruled out. You see what I'm saying? So, like, yes, people prop up the fighters that do sport fighting and stuff like that, but should you? Because that's the point. Like, you can't base anything on that. Would they win in a real fight? Well, I mean, did somebody break their knee? You get what I'm saying? Does somebody know how to instantly? You get what I'm saying? I could go on. I could go on. Soft tissue joints, things like that. I'm just saying. And like, there's a lot of stuff that instantly a snake stylist, for example, would do in a real scenario that just completely disqualifies you. And you're just like, it's not even that bad. Like, what the, really? And you're just like, they're just like, yep, can't do it. So, like it's just, you get disappointed. You start finding out, man, they can't fight. Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but they're just really big dudes punching each other. So that's why I feel a lot of the way I feel about, like, professional fighting and stuff like that. It's kind of the truth, and that's the way a lot of us real martial arts feel. That's the way even my instructor felt. I don't think he would mind me saying that, because he did feel that way, and he was right to feel that way, because that's what we would see. Like, even guys that we trained with, they came from that and said, yeah, I want to learn real martial arts now. Like, I remember a guy that couldn't, like, he was a real big boxer, and yeah, like, trust me, this guy would punch you and knock you out before you knew what happened, trust me. But he couldn't lift his foot 2 inches off the floor. That's a problem, man. Literally, he couldn't, and like he would lose balance all the time. Like, that's a problem, man. Yeah, for sure. In a real fight, if I knew that, yes, a problem. There's a real problem. I suppose that right away. So you get what I'm saying. So, like, that guy was real smart, and then he decided to expand on that repertoire. He didn't limit his brain to just boxing and thinking he's great. Brute force always wins, or something ridiculous like that, you know? Because that's not the case. So, thank you guys for watching, and thank you for listening all this time to my martial arts talk, and thank you, RDX, for awesome gloves. Thanks for letting me review them here on stream. Yeah, the GGR F12B. GGR F12B, just the RDX black gloves. There are a few different designs. This is the particular one I went with because, again, there is another design that feels even more restricted. Like, just looking at it, I can tell it's... So, this is a decent design. I don't think most people would have problems with this. And another, really quickly before we go, another really good tip is something that a martial artist looks for. Somebody like me, I'm not saying like somebody that's not necessarily sport, but somebody that's actually doing real full contact martial arts. What we look for is when we throw a punch, does this slide up enough that these knuckles are hitting the plastic on the headgear? You have no idea the amount of times we had somebody's knuckle because they didn't have proper gloves, and this is why I always recommend where they just the punch right lined up with the plastic, because we wear full cages, and you know, that way you can hit in the face and it still protects you, you know. So like the point is, like, yeah, like it would line up right with the plastic, and because their glove wasn't made properly, it slid back and they split their knuckle like on the plastic on the headgear. It's like, ugh, you know, and like you get let them tape it up or whatever, you know, like that's the point. Was like most of the time that didn't happen, but and then you'd have to like look at it and look at the gloves. You try to figure out how it happened, and it's like, yeah, most of the time that was exactly how it happened. Like anytime a student got injured, I looked at that gear. I was looking at everything. I wanted to know why, and that, like, flat out, like that was what it was a lot of time. This would slide up as they were throwing that punch, and yeah, I remember there was a time I got injured. It was so funny. Real quick, we'll just throw a little story out there. I was going to do the spin that I showed you about, and I was actually sparring my instructor, and we were sparring each other. And this is a great. He'd probably laugh here at this now, because this is a funny story. We both went to do the same technique at exactly the same time. We were just so in tune at that point and sparring so much. We both went to do the same technique at exactly the same time. And as I spun, the reason we didn't clash was actually because, like, I faked this way, and I went to fake, and as I did that, my finger got caught. You know how, like, the Kung Fu uniforms have, like, the buttons that go across? And so, like, obviously we're just wearing uniforms. So, like, my finger, like, literally somehow just got right up under that little entwine, that little across thing. And, like, as I spun, it wrapped. It, like, twisted the material. And the whole force of both of us spinning literally just, like, pulled on my finger. And my knuckle has never been the same ever. My knuckle has never been the same ever since. But you know, like, I did everything I could. You know, you pull it out. You know, like, you put stuff on it. Yeah, it was this one. It's like forever too big, and it for the longest time it limited how much I could close my. I couldn't even close that finger for the longest time. It was just, like, super sprained. But oh well, you know, it is what it is. The amount of times that you know, you just these things happen. You know, it comes with the territory. There was one thing I was gonna show you, but I'm trying to think of if I have it readily available. I'll see if I do. I'll take like 30 seconds to go to try to grab it. If I can't find it right away, we'll just end the stream. But I wanted to give you guys a little tip on something really quick before we end. Now that it's fresh in my brain, I know we're just over an hour. It's okay. We will end very briefly. Let me just see if I can find this really quickly. Like I said, I'll try to take like 30 seconds. Can't find it. I can't find it. So, over the years, when my students or myself would get injured, we would have this. I highly recommend this to anybody that has any type of joint pain, or you know, you got injured or something like that. This is like a miracle. It's called Woodlock. And this is a topical, it's topical. You put it on your skin. It's called Woodlock, and it's from Wong Tu Yik is who makes it. And I have been using this the whole way through. My instructor passed it down to me. I'd like to pass it on to anybody, you know, in my opinion, that needs joint relief, because I know I have told several people in my life about this, and they were eternally grateful for how much pain it relieved. And I've heard people comment that they wanted to know, was it, and it seems like a complete miracle. You know, like they just used all these things to try to relieve their pain and nothing worked. And not only that, it actually helps healing. So what it does is it helps break down the scar tissue that builds up from improper healing. You know, when like a doctor tells you to wrap something and keep it keep it from moving. It's actually the opposite. Unless it's broken, you should technically your joint is supposed to heal with movement. Technically, now I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to give you medical advice, but technically speaking, that is what's supposed to happen, because as we evolved and stuff like that, this is how our bodies adapted. We healed with movement, and because scar tissue builds up. Now the point is you can't do that. Pain, swelling, you get the point. So that's why they tell you stay off of it. Movement causes swelling. That's why. It has nothing to do, like, that's the point. Unless it's actually like broken or torn, that's different. Now what this will do is you have like something that's like, you'd sprained something or something like that. You're having joint pain. It's not healing properly. You can barely move it. Put a whole bunch of this on there. Smear it on. Do not get it on your eyes. Wash your hands after using it. It has menthol in it. It will be very strong. But trust me, within an hour, you'll be like, I can move? You'll just suddenly be able to move something you weren't able to move. And you'll realize it's scar tissue. It's breaking down the scar tissue. So again, absolutely genius, wonderful product that I would love to pass on to anybody that has joint pain or some things that are healing or something like that. Seriously, I've seen older folks use this. It's totally safe. Again, don't put it on open wounds. If you have a cut or something, try to keep it away from that. I have literally poured this on an ace bandage, wrapped my joint, and gone to sleep. And then I wake up, and yeah, my skin's a little irritated, but it's like brand new. It's like brand new. The scar tissue's all broken up. Yeah. And so, like, because I slept on it, it's irritated because I left it there overnight. Like, obviously don't wrap it and leave it there. It's probably not a good idea to do that. It's menthol. It's going to give you an irritation. But I'm just saying, like, that's why it was irritated, is because I left it on overnight. So, you know, if you're going to put it on an ace bandage and wrap it, do it for like an hour or two. Don't sit there and put it on overnight. I wouldn't recommend that. And if you have eczema or something, consult your doctor before using menthol-related products on your skin. Probably consult a dermatologist or your doctor or something like that. Or just try it on like a small spot, really tiny little spot. See if you get an irritation, and grab some cortisone cream or something like that to have ready to neutralize. So like again, you can do these things, but just try to just be prepared for that. Benadryl cream too, I think, is a good allergy relief cream. But I think cortisone is usually the anti-inflammatory, you know, that helps with the skin, you know, inflamed skin. You have like an irritation or something, usually that neutralizes it. Anyway, again, phenomenal. Thank you guys so much for watching. I mean, geez, you could get somebody, you could put it on your back and get somebody to rub your back, you know, like you get a masseuse or something like that. You really could. It's just going to be really strong, that's all. Just be aware of that. It's going to be really strong. And don't use a ton of it. Don't use a ton of it. But yeah, it's good stuff. But yeah, it is a medicated oil. It's more for like, it's more for when you're injured, not just massaging and stuff. So don't use it all the time. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And RDX, some good gloves. Zengu Shoei was a good one too, but it's not nearly as good as this. Woodlock is the best one. Wong Tu Yik. Some people will tell you White Lotus. No, Woodlock. Woodlock Wong Tu Yik. It's better. It's the best one. Thanks, guys.